All right. We are good. We are live. We are in color and in person. So, as I said, I had Panthers over the Bucks, so I got that one right. I got the Washington and the okay. Oh well, it is what it is. So then I had Washington and the Dolphins as a tie. Of course, and I had a 17-17 tie. I was this close, but the Dolphins decided to go for two in the last minute of the game, and we'll talk about that in a little bit later on in the program. Then I had Saints over the Jags, which I got right. I had Ravens over Bengals. Not that that was a stretch. I wasn't going out on any limbs there. Seahawks had to come back over the Browns, and I had that one right. I thought the Eagles were going to be. I thought the Eagles' deep offense was going to show up and show out. Had that one wrong, way wrong. Then I had Kansas City over Houston. I thought it was going to be close, but I thought Kansas City was the better team overall. Again, had that one wrong. Had Arizona over Atlanta in a battle of the bad teams. I had the Niners over the Rams. Got that one right. I had Denver over the Titans. I had in my biggest miss of the week, and I think a lot of people's misses. I had the Dallas. I had the Cowboys blowing out the Jets, but that was not to be. So then in the other games, in the other two late games, I had Pittsburgh over the the Chargers, and then I had the Packers over the Lions. You got both of those games right. So overall, I was 9 for 14, 9 wins, 5 losses, or 5 incorrects, as it were. So, yeah, that was my thoughts on the week. I really didn't see that coming. Honestly, I didn't see the Bengals being this bad, this early. I thought they'd probably end up 10-6, but I didn't see them going 0-6 to start the year. I knew Miami was going to be a bit of a crap show, so they were going to be a dumpster fire. Uh, the Jaguars, I thought they were going to be worse than they've shown. The Gardner Minshew has turned out to be a very nice pickup. Um, so that's been a decent bright side. The Browns have been a major disappointment, the biggest disappointment this year so far, at least through the first 6 weeks. Then the Niners have been the biggest surprise. I know a lot of people aren't hyped on the Niners because of who they've beaten. I don't put too much stock in who you've beaten. You can only play the games, and I said this last week, and I'll say this again. And when I transition to the into the power rankings for this week, we're going to talk a lot about that. It doesn't really matter who you've beaten because you can only play the teams that are on your schedule. And so, when it comes to things that are on your schedule, the teams that are on your schedule are the only teams you can play. And then next week, I'm going to revamp. After the show today, I'm going to revamp how I do my power rankings. Most of the time, I just like to do it based upon I put a lot of stock into wins and losses as opposed to strength of schedule because again, you can't pick your schedule. You don't get to pick who you play. You don't get to pick when you play them. You don't get to pick how you play them. You don't get to pick who's playing, who's starting and playing for them. Um, so that being said, you have a lot to um, a lot of oh god damn. Let's try. Oh well. All right, we're just gonna go for it, and you can just watch the replay if you missed anything. Um, so this week's the Unscripted's Week 7 Football Power Rankings. All right, 32. I still have Miami. Um, again, I don't think they're any good. All these four teams I don't think are any good. And then I'm gonna revamp how I work out who's my list, and we might see some changes to the list after the stream goes live. And um, when that happens, I'll definitely be sure to update you and let you know what the new power rankings are looking like. So again, Miami at 32. They're not great. They're apparently not as terrible as I thought they were as Cincinnati. Um, I didn't think Cincinnati was going to be this bad. I thought they were going to be much better, much more of a threat to come out of the and to be to at least be competitive in the AFC North. Um, but I was wrong, as I've known to be. I can admit that I got that one wrong. I didn't really think that they were going to be that bad. So but it is what it is. There's still a lot of football to be played. We're only in week 6, still 10 weeks to go, and we got a lot of things going on that are are yet to have happened, um, at least through the first 6 weeks. A lot of teams that have to play a lot of uh, a lot of games. So we'll see uh, what happens. Anyway, so at 31, I have the Skins again, just based on how they looked. Um, I don't think they're a very good team. They got a lot of issues. Now, I think one of the things that could help them is uh, Alex Smith coming back from injury. If he can come back and be healthy, he can at least provide a bit of a stabilization in the offense. It's a very talented, albeit relatively older quarterback. He's very good at reading defenses and taking what the defense is giving him. He's the master of the game manager, not putting pressure on his defense by making a bad throw or making a bad read. He's very good at getting first downs on third down. Doing those little things that make a quarterback valuable when they're not a gunslinger. They're not some kind of razzle dazzle kind of a Brett Favre or a Tom Brady-esque quarterback. So and then that being said, so then the at 30 I have Cincinnati, of course. Cincinnati is terrible. They're not very good. They're worse than I thought they were. Honestly, the reason I put them at 30 is because I didn't think they were nearly as bad as they were. Minnesota or Washington actually has one more win than Cincinnati, so naturally Cincinnati is generally worse than Washington. But I did not see this coming. To be honest with y'all, I didn't see any kind of them being this terrible. Other than that, I don't have a lot to say on Cincinnati. We're just gonna move on to Atlanta, and Atlanta's turned into a crap show, and they're just terrible. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was Kyle Shanahan leaving, if that was the key to Atlanta's success over the last couple of years. I know that he was very good for them, and he was a great coordinator there, and Alex Smith or Matt Ryan's Alex Matt Ryan succeeded under his tutelage. And so I don't know if it's all just Kyle Shanahan leaving, or if it's a combination of missing pieces, or just the general decline as players get older. Unfortunately, you see Julio Jones is suffered as a result. So has Mohamed Sanu, or I think his name's Michael Sanu, something like Sanu. Um, and then at 28, you have the Giants. That would be the New York Giants. I think that they're there's a lot of upside to the Giants. I think that if they could get an offensive lineman, like I said last week, if they could go out and get Trent Williams, that would be a really nice pickup. It really bolster their offensive line and keep Jones upright, which would invariably help the passing game, which would invariably help the running game, especially when Barkley comes back and is healthy and can compete. I really think the Giants are a dangerous team if they can get one piece. Their defense, your defense needs help from the offense just as much as the offense needs the defense to get takeaways. The defense can't be on the field for 50 or 60 or 70 plays against top tier offenses. And when they play, they're gonna have to play the Cowboys. They're gonna have to play the Eagles. They're gonna have to play um, the Skins again. So when that happens, they're gonna have to definitely they're definitely gonna have to work on you know stopping premier offenses. But not that the Eagles, Cowboys, or Redskins are premier offenses, but they're the games that I know that we know that they're going to have. And the Eagles, I think, should be a much better offensive team than they've shown. And I was really disappointed in their performance this week. Um, and we'll get to them here in a second. Don't worry. Oakland was on their bye, so they didn't move up or go down. Still at 27. Probably should be higher on this list. They probably should be below the Jets. But I had them ranked 27 last week. I don't like to move you up or down unless, if you lost or you didn't play. I don't like to move you up or down because it's not fair because you didn't get a chance to prove whether you're better or worse than you were last week. So then at 26, you have the Jets. That's the New York Jets. The Then you have Arizona. The Jets, stunning win in my opinion over Dallas. I did not see that coming. Um, I think it more showed who Dallas was than who New York was, or who New Dallas was over who New York was. I think Dallas was overrated or overvalued. I think it really hurt Dak's potential payday. I thought that I thought he could get paid. I was liking 18 to 25 a year for 5 years. I don't like, although 5 years is a long contract. I think he's only 25, so that'd be at the end of his peak years, if you will, 31, 32. If you give him a 6 year, 7 year deal, 5 to 7 year deal, it's still peak years, and that's going to be peak Dak if he can figure it out. Again, and it's like we talked about, or like I talked about before, is that the fact of the matter is that they're struggling both offensive and defensively, and it's and it all starts up front. You've got to have the Hogs. You got to have you got to have a great offensive line. I know that when Emmett got to when Larry Allen, I believe it was I just a big dumb guard until Emmett Smith got there. But the thing of it is that even though Emmett Smith made Larry Allen made Emmett Smith Emmett Smith. If you look at later in Emmett's career when he went to Arizona and he struggled, Arizona didn't have a good offensive line and Emmett struggled. And in Dallas, he had a great offensive line and was a Hall of Fame caliber back. And I know that he was older and he was, long in the tooth, but still, if you give a good back, a good offensive line, they're gonna make magic. Even at the end of his career in Dallas, before he left, he was still a top tier talent. So then at 25, you got Arizona, got the Cardinals. They've proven that they're at least a threat to be reckoned with. And we'll see how it shakes out when I re-rank everyone after the stream today. And we'll get into next week. And again, this is just based on the first 6 weeks that have been played. I don't rank your game. I don't look at future games. I don't even when I do my rankings. I do them on Wednesday. They come out on Wednesday, so I have all day Sunday to watch games, to collect data, to get film, to see what I like, see what I don't like, see who you are, see who you aren't, see who you played, and then Monday I start my list. I start working on my list because I gotta wait until the Monday night game to find out where everyone's, how things shake out, because like this mess Monday had a huge impact on how people were ranked, and we'll talk about this last Monday here in a minute. Um, and then you have then after that you have just pure good football. How are you playing? Who are you playing? When are you playing? And who's playing? Who's playing against you? Because you don't get to pick your opponents. First off, you don't get to pick who they're playing, and you don't get to pick when you're playing. So, and by who they're playing, I mean who they're starting or who they're dressing and who's going to be available for them to play. So Arizona gets another win. They beat Atlanta. I think the jury's still out on Arizona. Cliff Kingsbury or whatever his name is. I don't know. Again, it's one of those things where when it comes to these kind of guys and um their start is, for me, it's like if they're not, once I need 2 or 3 years on a guy like Kingsbury or and his quarterback there to find out what they're to find out whether or not they're ready to go. So, and we'll see how good they are. We'll see whether they have what kind of talent they have. So then, and whether they, and then at 25, probably my biggest disappointment so far through the first 6 weeks is Cleveland. I really expected them to show up and show out and put everyone on notice that they were back or they were ready to try and make a comeback. Uh, Baker Mayfield has stunk. He has stunk, and he has stunk bad. And it's a shame because I really liked him, and I thought he was gonna be um, a good piece there in Cincinnati or Cleveland. I mean, I thought he was gonna have um, a breakout year. I thought he was gonna show that he was worth that first overall pick or second or whatever he was. Um, and I thought that he was gonna have a great year, but clearly he hasn't. Clearly, he's not performed. Obviously, he hasn't performed up to snuff, and it's just disappointing because um, I really think that um, he was a much better quarterback than a lot of people gave him credit for. And so with that being said, I think that he's got a lot of work to do. He's got a lot of work to do. He's got a lot of stuff to prove, and in time we'll see. So, and then defensively, they haven't shown up or shown out at all. They have not looked good at all year. So piss on them. Then next we have Tampa Bay. Um, it was really hotly debated when I was working on this list. Me and my staff here, that'd be me and me. Uh, where I was gonna put Tampa Bay. Did I have them 23rd, 24th, 25th? Were they really better than Atlanta or Arizona or Cleveland? Jameis Winston looks like a dumpster fire yet again. He's trash. He's bad. He can't make a good decision to save his life. And I'm gonna next week's show. After the show, I'm gonna be debating next week on we'll be having the top 20 the top well, I'll be premiering the 32 quarterbacks, the best ranking the starting all the quarterbacks that have made a start, and I'll get into that before the end of the show, and I'll give you a little bit more details and I'm gonna try and get some insight on who's the best quarterbacks, who are the better quarterbacks in the league right now. And then I plan on expanding to wide receivers, linemen, and running backs, defensive backs, linebackers, and defensive linemen. But anyway, so Tampa Bay, bleh, um, and then Denver at 22. This was released, of course. Look at me spitting. This was released before last night's game. This only involves the games that were played in week 6. We're on to week 7 now. I know it's the unfortunate thing about having Thursday night football is week 6 ends before week 7. Week 6 ends and then week 7 starts before this show premieres. So it's really hard to get in and get on get a do commentary or release commentary on week 6 after week 7's already started. It's difficult, but I do enjoy it. So then at 21 you have so going back to Denver. Denver looked good. I had them winning. Obviously, I already did a recap. They beat Tennessee. Um, I really thought that Tennessee was going to be better. I really thought Marcus Mariota was going to show up and show out again. Or finally, I really thought he needed a breakout year. And so I thought, shoot, excuse me. So I really thought this was going to be his year. Then at 21, I had Tennessee. Again, same boat as everybody else in the bottom half of the list. They're not great, not terrible. I have from about 25 to 16, I have teams that are either on the cusp of greatness or terribleness. If that's a coin a word, terribleness. So then, and so at 20, I have Pittsburgh. I had them winning. I had them beating the Chargers. Of course, they did, and they did it in fairly convincing fashion. Um, I like Pittsburgh. I think they're underrated. I think that if they can get their offense they can get their offense to click. They have the bye this week, so they can get their offense to click. Mm, excuse me. There will be a threat. And the defense is still very good. They'll be a threat to contend in the AFC North, especially if they can beat Baltimore again or next. Um, and I think Baltimore is a better, but we'll get to Baltimore here in a minute. So next I have the Chargers. It was very this is where the hardest 4 spots or 5 spots to rank was 22 through 17. So I had the Chargers at 19, thinking that they're not that they've struggled the last couple of weeks. So they've lost to Detroit, lost to Pittsburgh, and I think they have another loss in there too. Um, Again, a team that I thought that we're gonna be at least competitive in the AFC West. I thought they might have a chance to challenge um, Kansas City for that division. And I thought Denver was going to take a step back because I didn't think they did enough offensively or defensively in the offseason to really bolster that team. So, but I thought that the Chargers could put a show on for the AFC West, give Kansas City a challenge. Apparently, I was wrong. Clearly. Again, now on to the other team in LA, the Rams. I have them at 18. And you might be wondering why I have them at 18, and it's mainly because of their losses. More so who they've lost, but how they've lost. And the close game to Seattle was really a heartbreaker. And I had the again, after the loss to Seattle, which I think I had, but I have to go back and look. It was before the show. I actually decided to start the show. That was the last week before the show premiered. So this is season 1, episode 2 of the Unscripted, which is the name of the show. So I toiled with this. I struggled with this. Um, it, it, and I had Jacksonville at 17. I like Minshew. I think they can take steps. I think they can. I think getting rid of Ramsey was a great move. They bolstered their draft stock. I think they have enough pieces. They have enough draft pieces where they can make a move for some talent. Maybe they can make a move for Trent Williams, get him, bolster their offensive line. That may be a move that they need to think about making. Um, Other than that, I really don't have a lot to say about Jacksonville. They're a very talented team who's underperformed. I think is what I think where I'm at with Jacksonville. And then Chicago. Normally you wouldn't move up on your bye, but because just the situations around them, they did move up 1 spot to 16. I like Chicago. I think they're a quarterback away from being a contender. Um, Trubisky is going to be back this week. Mitch, is a very talented quarterback, in my opinion. I think he's the best quarterback that Chicago's had since Jim McMahon. and I think he's a potential stud quarterback. So, and that's why I have Chicago at 16. I think they're another team that's right on that edge of being great or terrible. You know. Then at 15, I have Detroit, and we're not going to talk a lot about Detroit in this segment. I'm going to dedicate a whole segment to discussing and cussing and delving into that whole situation. But I have Detroit at 15. Of course, they didn't go up or down, mainly because of how they lost and why they lost. I did cut them a bit of a break because of the end of the game, and But I'm going to move on to 14. Carolina. Carolina's impressed me the last 4 weeks in a row. They've come out, they've shown out, they've put away people. I'm really happy with how they're playing. Keenan Allen is probably playing the best ball. Looking if I think he's a rookie or first year starter. Definitely looking at post career honors. I think him and McCaffrey. Well, now and they're on their bye this week, so they unless craziness happens, they should stay 14. Really looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season goes for Carolina. They still have to play the Saints, and that's going to determine a lot of whether they're good or bad or indifferent. Um, and then after that, you have Dallas at 13. And I toyed with the idea of moving Dallas all the way down to 17. Um, but I really didn't. I couldn't justify moving Jacksonville all the way that far, that high up. So that's why they were down. That's why they're down there. Then at 12, and I don't really want to delve on Dallas too much because they're just so mediocre, unimpressive, uninspiring, unimpressive, mediocre to bad football, and uh, they deserve to lose to the Jets. They just didn't come out and show up. I really thought that they were going to put the whooping on the Jets. I thought they were going to take the Jets to the woodshed. I had them beating them for 40-6. I had the Jets managing 2 field goals, long ones at that. I didn't think the Jets were going to move the ball at all. The Jets are terrible. The Jets are garbage. And somehow they managed to show up and play the Cowboys. And I said last week, I was almost tempted to take the Jets. Almost. Because there's always that one game every week where one of those crap teams shows up and puts a whooping on somebody. When we saw it a couple weeks ago when Cleveland showed up and showed out against the Ravens. The Ravens, a team I have fifth. So, Dallas. What are you gonna do? All right, on to the Eagles, the Steagles. The Eagles, they're at 12. Why are they 12? Mainly because I had them too high. They should have been They should have been much lower. They should have probably been 8th at the highest last week. I messed that up. That was on me. That was just a miscalculation in terms of just an error in personal judgment. I value the Eagles too much. I took too much value in that Green Bay win, and I thought they were better than they actually are. I also didn't that Lions loss. I didn't value it as high as I might have because of how the Lions won and the fact that the Eagles had to miss a field goal at the end of the game to win, for the Lions to win. So, and then at 11, I had Kansas City falling all from 4th, which I had them last week. And you can double check. You can check the group. You can check the Vine Allen Sports group for any inconsistencies. You can check the show. I'll be posting screen grabs at some point in the discussion tab if I can remember to do that. Again, and so and one of the reasons why they fell so far, why they dropped 7 spots, is mainly because of the teams in front of them all won or were on their byes. And I don't knock you down a spot because you're on your bye. So at 10, I have Indianapolis. I really like the Colts. I really think this is a week where they can come out and show up and show me and show the rest of the country why I have them ranked so high. I just think they put on a clinic against Kansas City. They showed how to beat Mahomes, and Houston capitalized on it. Um, uh, and that's kind of where I'm at on them and their their talent. I think that they're good. I think they're a great team. Uh, I really like Indianapolis. I really think they're gonna be. I think they're gonna win the South. We'll see how they play against Houston. If they beat Houston, they will win the South, in my opinion, probably. And so that's where I have them. And at 9, I have Buffalo. I've been impressed with Buffalo. I know a lot of people don't like the fact that I don't wait. Um, a lot of people give me crap about the fact that I don't weight the strength of schedule because I don't believe in the strength of schedule in the NFL. With college football, I do believe in strength of schedule. I really think who you play really does matter. Um, when it comes to the NFL, I don't think it matters who you play because every team is an NFL caliber team. Every team can beat the best college team one on one, head to head. In a one off game, every NFL team is going to beat even the 0-16 Lions, 0-16 Browns, or 0-14 Buccaneers would beat the best college teams of their respective eras. I'm not saying that the 2019 um, Tide would probably stomp the ever living you know what out of the um, creamsicle Buccaneers, but that's neither here nor there. So that's why I don't weight NFL schedules as heavy as I do weight who you've played in college football. And again, and look at when we see what happens with the Jets and Dallas. We know that there's no easy games, as it were. So moving on to number 8. Number 8. I have the Minnesota Vikings, a team that I was impressed with. If you, I'm gonna keep talking, but I'm gonna step aside for a second. So, excuse my face. I'll be right back. Um, a Minnesota Vikings team that I had dogged out the week before after their loss, and I had put them on notice that they were if they wanted to compete in the NFC North, that they were gonna have to show up and be more than just Dalvin Cook. That they couldn't just be Dalvin Cook, and that's where I'm at on the Eagles or the Vikings, and they showed up and they weren't just Dalvin Cook, and that put me at ease in terms of putting them so high. And when the there we go, much better. I needed some caffeine. I'm not sponsored. Anyway, sexy. So the so that's why Minnesota. That's why Minnesota moved up lower last week. That's why I put them so high, because I thought that they're. And again, I want to reiterate and I want to emphasize the fact that it goes week to week to week, and that's how it goes. This is all based on week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6. Next Wednesday, when I release my new list, it'll only be based on the 7 games that have been played, or in some cases 6, depending on how many games you have played. Um, and so that's the thing, is that let me turn down that a little bit. So that's the thing. That's why Minnesota has moved up so high. And if I knew what I was doing, I'd be better at it. Um, and then at 7, I have Houston. I've been thoroughly impressed the last 2 weeks with Houston. That's just shutting down Kansas City was an impressive feat in and of itself, and then thumping the Atlanta. That's what really clued me into the fact that Houston might be a pretty good team. Is that if you lose to a bad team, you might not be as good as we thought. If you beat a bad team, you might be as good as we thought. But if you blow out a bad team, and if you really lay it to them, then I really do take stock of the fact that you beat. I do rank beating a bad team higher, beating a bad team by a lot higher than beating a good team by one. Because to me, that shows, what that says to me is that you can take care of business. You know, if you have two equally matched teams, if you say they're, let's say, for one of a ranking system, let's say they're both 89 overalls on Madden, and if an 89 overall team they play each other, they might play each other to a 1 point game. Like let's say Minnesota and Houston. I think they're both definitely 89 overall teams. I think they're both very, very good teams. So if they played each other, they might play each other to a 1 point game, or to a one score game, you know, 3, 4, and 5 points one way or the other. Maybe it's two field goals and a touchdown that separate them. They separate each team. And so, that being said, that's why I rank because playing a good team and barely beating a good team to me is not as impressive as playing a bad team and thumping them. Because especially comparing two equally matched teams. If Team A and Team B are both 89s overall, and Team A has a squash match against a 72 overall team, and Team A just thoroughly dominates Team C, and Team B plays Team D, and again, two 72s play two 89s. Team A squashes Team C, and Team B has a 1 point win against the inferior opponent, or even in like cases of Dallas last week, you lose. I'm going to give more credence to the team that actually takes care of business and thumps their opponent. So, and that being said, we're going to move on to Green Bay. I have them number 6, and one reason only, and it's because of how they won. Even other week, I would rank them higher, and Detroit would have lost. We're going to talk about that here in a minute, so I'm not going to harp on that too much because I really do want to talk about that. I'm excited to talk about that. I've been champing at the bit to talk about it all week. So we're just going to move on to Baltimore. Baltimore is at 5, and the reason they're at 5 is because of just how they played over the last handful of games. I really think that they're gonna be. I really think that they're. I wanted to look up the score. I wanted to look up the score from that game just to give myself a little bit of a refresher on that, because I forgot what the score was in that game. There, 23-17. Maybe I have them overranked. Maybe I have them underranked. We'll see. I really think that they're much better than you might think. Even though they did lose to the Browns and they lost badly. And again, when I re-edit this list to make some corrections to it and to do some reevaluating of how I rank my list or how I rate my list, you may see them fall. At number 4, I have the Saints. I really like them. I've liked them all year. I have them as the NFC champions. I think that they beat Seattle. I think that they win the West or the South and they beat Seattle. Especially if they can get past Carolina. I think Carolina's their biggest opponent in the South right now. Especially with the way Keenan Allen and what's his nuts? Christian McCaffrey are playing. They could both be. McCaffrey's in line for an NFL. He's playing he's playing MVP caliber football right now. He's really leading that team. He's carrying that team. And so That's the thing. That's where I'm at on them. Um, then at 3 I have the Saints or Seahawks. I already said the Saints. That's my bad for being a being a goofball. Um, I have the Seahawks at 3. I'm big on them. I've been big on them all year. Again, I thought that they were gonna be. I thought they were retooled and ready to run. Um, I think they got rid of a lot of the distractions and a lot of the malcontents, and I thought that was gonna help. I thought Pete Carroll was reinvigorated, and I thought they were gonna make another 2014 style run, or 2013. And I've been looking forward to seeing how they play against the Niners, who we'll get into in just a second. And there's a reason why they're number 3 and not number 2, and it's mainly because they lost. I do give more credence to winning over lose. If you win, you're in. It's the NFL. If you win, you're in. You play to win the game. You play to win the game. You play to win the game. And and then you at and then at and so if I could get my thoughts together. You have the Hawks at number 3. Then you have at 2, you have San Francisco. And like I said, they haven't lost. And how can you argue with winning? If all you do is win, and I know they only beat these crap teams, but that's your job. Your job is to beat the crap teams. You beat the bad teams, you play the good teams close, and you see what happens. Every team gets 6 to 10 bad games a year. You're gonna have, every team gets 6 bad games, 4 competitive games, and every team has 6 below average opponents, four average opponents, and 6 opponents that are probably better than them. And you see that year in and year out. If you go across the board and you look at every team's schedule, you got half the teams that you're playing are terrible, half the teams that you're playing are better than you, and it's all about taking your shots, picking your shots, and striking while the iron is hot. Another half a dozen other dopey cliches. So don't sit here and tell me that the Saints are or the Niners are a bad team, or they don't deserve to be number 2 because they haven't played anybody. Who have they beaten? They've beaten everybody they've played. They've played 5 games, they won all 5. And until they lose, they deserve to be number 2. Because that's how it works in the NFL. Because right now, if the playoffs were to start today, if the playoffs were to start today, they would have the number 1 seed in the NFC. They get a first round bye at 2 home playoff games. That's why they're number 2. Because as it stands right now, and I've looked at them, I've looked at their film, I've looked at their tape, I spent 26 hours watching audio tape over the last 3 days. I'm really sold on the Niners. I really am. And Garoppolo is a product of the New England system. He looks great in Shanahan's offense, and I'm ready to run with the Niners. And I'll stay on the Niners until they lose. And then when they lose, then you can come tell me how stupid I am, how wrong I was. But until then, you can just, bucker up and kiss my ass. And then at number 1, I got New England. Because again, it's winning, it's competing, it's being a good team, it's being, it's it's personnel, it's coaching, it's front office, it's everything that makes the Patriots, year in and year out. It's doing that. It's the little things that you got to do to win football games. Week in, week out, year in, year out, New England is the best team in the league, from top to bottom. It starts with Robert Kraft. It goes to the GM. It goes to Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, Julian Edelman, Chase Winovich this year has come on strong. They talk about the Patriot way. There is no Patriot way. It's just the way you're supposed to. It's not just the Patriot way. It's the right way. It's the proper way. It's about getting every advantage you can. And you can talk about the Flake game. You can talk about Spygate. You can talk about Julian Edelman doing PEDs. You can talk about a substance that wasn't banned until he was caught using it. They literally banned it 2 weeks before his drug test that he failed, if I'm not mistaken. It was ridiculous. And, you can talk about, Robert Kraft getting a hand job at a massage parlor and say, oh, that's terrible and he should be run out of the league and yada, 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 yada. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect the fact that the New England Patriots are going to be the best team in the AFC East. They're probably going to be one of the best teams in the AFC, and they're going to be one of the best teams in the league. They may not be the best team. They may not be the most competitive team. They may not be the toughest team, but they will be the smartest team. They may not be the strongest team, fastest, most talented, but they will be the smartest team, and they will outthink you. And it goes back to what Ray Lewis was saying about preparing to play the Patriots. I guarantee you, it's 2 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, and Tom Brady is getting ready. He's getting ready. He doesn't have a game until Monday. He played last Thursday. He's been off all week, and he's in there and he's clicking, 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 click, 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 click. You hear it? This is Tom Brady. Click, 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 click. He's in there and he's clicking. He's clicking away. He's clicking, click, 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 click. Because he's looking for something. He's looking for one play, or one series, one drive, one situation to learn something about you and about your. Oopsie. I got a little animated, a little carried away. So I might have dropped audio for a second. Let it come back up. Uh, and he's on his stuff every day, and it's his diet, it's his workout routine, it's clicking and clicking and clicking. If he's clicking 5 hours and you're clicking 1 hour, you've already lost, because he's not just clicking your games, he's clicking your opponent's games, and he's looking at things that they did against you and they did against other teams that play as the same. He's looking at teams that play a similar style as you to get an idea of, okay, he's got the Jets this week. He's looking at the Dolphins' tendencies from 2 years ago when they had their coach. He's looking at their offensive coordinator, and he's clicking. He's looking through. Oh, that's a good play. That's a good play. That's a good play. That's a crap play. That's a crap play. That's a crap play. Because he wants to be better than you. Why? Because you say he can't. You say he's too old. You say he's not strong enough. You say he's not fast enough. Well, he'll be damned if he ain't smarter than you. He's going to outthink you. He's going to outwork you. He's going to outplay you. And that's why he's the greatest of all time. Because he does the things that you won't. It's not that you can't do them. You can do them. Everyone can do them. But you just won't. Because you got other things you want to do. And it's part of being human. Tom Brady, the reason Tom Brady is so great and so much better than everyone else that's ever played the game at his position, or any position for that matter, is because Tom Brady didn't have the physical attributes to be a great quarterback coming into the league. He was 6'4", 215. He was skinny as a rail. He didn't look like the part. He wasn't 6'4", 240. He wasn't Ben Roethlisberger's size. He wasn't Aaron Rodgers. He didn't have all the accolades. He had split time at Michigan because Michigan's AD was afraid of losing Drew Henson. He was afraid of losing Drew Henson's money, is what it was. He didn't want Drew Henson's daddy and mommy to take his money and go to somewhere else or go play baseball. That's why Tom Brady never showed up or showed out in college. That's why he wasn't a top pick. Tom Brady had everything to be a great quarterback in the NFL in college. You go back and you look at his college career, Tom Brady was dogged out because of Drew Henson. Because Drew Henson had a silver spoon shoved square up his ass. Tom Brady didn't get to play. And when he did play, all he did is win. And he won, and he won, and he won. And they could have won 3 titles. 3 titles at the end of the 90s that Tom Brady had played every game. Come at me, bro. And let me climb down off my soapbox for a second. You can say I'm riding Tom Brady, and that's fine, because I'm gonna ride him all the way to the Old Town Road, man. Oops. Because Because what does Tom Brady do that other teams don't? Because I want to give you an example of why Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. Two examples, two quick stories, and we're going to move on to something else. We're going to move on to, we're going to get to picks this week, both college and pro. And I do want to talk college ball a little bit, but this is what I want to talk about right now. Until I run out of steam, we're going to stay on this. So, um, what makes Tom Brady so great is his humbleness, his willingness to take what's given to him, and his combativeness. He's willing to compete. He doesn't give up. He doesn't quit competing. He's always competing, always competing, always competing, always competing. And when it comes to Tom Brady being a continuing to compete, um, it was funny to me. I was watching one of those "Do Your Jobs" specials about the 01 Patriots, and why they were so, and at the end of the game, John Madden. I tend to agree with John Madden's assessment of football. If you want to know where my knowledge of football comes from, you look at John Madden square in the face. Say, that's what I base a lot of my um, John Madden fan. But that the 01 Super Bowl and the Patriots have that last that last drive. Look at Terry Bradshaw in the pregame. He said, "I don't know if I'd bet against the team. Everything was going on in the world um, at the time, and coming off of 9/11 and having that situation." And he's like, "I don't know if I'd bet against the team called the Patriots on this Sunday." But the Rams were a two touchdown favorite, and New England played them tough all year, played them tough all day, and made it tough for them to get off on track. And the last drive, ball comes down, and they get it, and they got it at the 20, and they had to decide what to do. And John Madden was like, "You just play for overtime. You take one shot, and if it's not there, you just put the knee on the ball, and you go to overtime, and we would have had the first overtime game 20 years ago." Um, it'd be funny. It'd be funny to see what happens in the next 20 years when we have the 20th anniversary of the first overtime game. So, that being said, on the sidelines when they're standing there, Bill standing there, and Bledsoe and Brady, and I forget who the not Romeo Crennel, Charlie Weiss. I think Charlie Weiss was the offensive coordinator at the time. They were kind of standing around talking about what the play was, what the how they were going to play this last drive. And Bill and Palm were talking, they're talking about being conservative and taking it, not taking any risks. And Bledsoe came up and he walked up him and he looked him in the eye and he said, "Fuck that, sling it." And that's what they did. They went out and they slung it, and they won the game. Brady was able to engineer a drive at the end of the game to get into field goal range. And for as much as Tom Brady, needed Vinatieri. Vinatieri had missed a kick earlier in the game that required Brady to drive him down the length of the field. And in the next Super Bowl that they went to in the Carolina game, he missed two kicks that would have won them the game. And Ed Brady had to engineer a late stage comeback or a last second drive after the defense gave up points. And um, and outside of the Eagles Super Bowl, Tom Brady has had to either had the defense lose him the game, or uh, had to engineer a late game comeback, a late game drive, late game winning drive. And then this most recent Super Bowl, the Rams and the Steelers. That would have been a good game. Rams and the Patriots. At the end of the game, it's 4th and 1 from inside the Rams 30. I was a kid. We were all kids at one point. When all of us, when we were football fans, we were football kids. We were kids. We were all football fans. And I was in your particular era. And backyard imaginary clock. With our friends or just maybe ourselves. Maybe you lived in. No, you're going for it. You're gonna give me the damn ball. I'm gonna go get me a first down. Game's over. But Tom Brady is so practical and so measured and so calculated that he didn't even care. He didn't even care that the game was that it was 4th and 1. He didn't care. That's the difference between Tom Brady's great and other players great. As guys like Steve Young or Brett Favre or John Elway, guys that I all like, guys that are all Hall of Famers, guys that I don't have a problem with. Um, for better or worse, Tom wants to win, and Tom is more than happy to hand the ball off. If Sonny Michel is having a day, Tom's not gonna go. Tom's not gonna come up to the line, look the defense over, and read two high safety, 7 in the box, double splits with linebackers wide, and go and run motion and see zone, and go and check out of a halfback dive to the right side. Halfback dive strong side. He's not going to check out of that just because he wants to throw the ball, because they're running two deep, two high safeties, run quarters with quarter zones, and 7 in the box, 3 back, 4 down, 3 back. He's not gonna take a shot into that. He's just gonna look at Sony and go, "You ready?" And they're gonna come up. They're gonna give the snap count. He's gonna clap the hands and get the snap and give the ball to Michelle, because he's not a freaking idiot. Because Tom Brady, you call him what you want, call him what you will. Tom Brady is an unselfish player. He doesn't call his own number. He doesn't check out of it. And not to say that like Peyton Manning would check out of it, but Peyton Manning's offense, the offense was tailored around Peyton Manning, because Peyton Manning may be the greatest offensive player of all time, and that being different than Tom Brady being the greatest player of all time. Peyton Manning may be the single most adept offensive player at his position of all time. Tom Brady is just the GOAT. Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. But Peyton Manning may be the greatest thinker of football of all time. And having that innate ability to look and see quarters and see two high safety, see quarters, see 7 in the box, and go, you know what? If I run Z-dogs with a dig route, 2 underneath dig routes, 2 clearing route, and I got a tight end on a skinny post, that tight end's gonna be freaking open, because the two safeties the two flies are gonna draw the safeties off. You got the underneath stuff's gonna gonna draw the linebackers up. I'm gonna go hard play action, and my tight end's gonna be wide open. And whereas Tom Brady goes to Michelle because Michelle is that's where the play is going. Peyton Manning goes because Peyton Manning, all the offense is Peyton Manning's offense. Whether he had an offensive coordinator or not, everybody knew that Peyton Manning was the offense. And whether it was Indianapolis or Denver or at UT, Peyton Manning was the offense. Whether it was high school ball, whether it was at UT, Indianapolis, Denver, it didn't matter. The offense was run through Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning had the ultimate say, because he knew Peyton Manning was so sharp and so adept at knowing, and not to say that Tom Brady isn't. It's just that's one thing that Peyton Manning is better at. It's not that Tom Brady's bad at it. It's not that Tom Brady doesn't, it's not that I'm not saying that Peyton Manning is the greatest quarterback of all time, because he clearly isn't, because he doesn't have the numbers. And Tom Brady has the wins. Because Tom Brady is the undisputed, most unselfish player that I've ever seen. Because, when you see Tom Brady play, it looks so effortless. It looks like he doesn't have to work at it. And that's because he works so hard at it that he doesn't have to show. He just does. And things happen. And they're often good things. And, and that's the thing is about Tom Brady, is that, he makes plays where you don't think that he can make plays, when you don't think he can make plays. And that's the thing. You don't think he can make plays, but he does, and he just stuns you. You see the whip or torque. Collinsworth, Chris Collinsworth, he was talking about the torque on Mahomes. Mahomes has such torque. And if you go back and you look at it, every quarterback has good torque. It's just part of the game. When you go like that, when you bring your arm back and you set and you bring your arm forward, you're going to put a little snap in your wrist. That's what I was taught. You put a little bit of torque on it. You put a little bit of spin. You don't just throw it straight forward. You bring your arm back and you flex it. You flex your wrist to get a little bit of spin so that it stabilizes the ball in flight. So that when I don't really have anything that can work as a ball. I guess this will work. When the ball is in the air, you don't want it to be doing this. You want it to be doing this. You want it to be rolling over and glide you don't want it to be tumbling. You don't want it to be wobbling. You want it to spiral. And so, putting torque on it is important. And putting torque on it is important. It's imperative to get at least some torque on your throw. When you bring your arm back, you bring your arm forward, you snap your wrist off. Just as much as you throw a baseball, you want to get some torque on it. You're bringing your arm forward. You don't want to limp wrist it. You don't want to limp. You want to bring your arm forward and snap it off. So it's boom, boom. Sound like paint John Madden. Boom. Don't copyright that, John. Don't take down the stream. No it's fair use, right? And so when it comes to Tom Brady, throwing, and it looks so effortless, it's not because he's not putting in effort. It's because he's put in so much effort that he doesn't. And it comes back to something when I was for want of an example, and when I was talking about or when I was working at a major box store, let's call it that, major box store. I was working at a major box store. I was cashier at a major box store, and major box store was a very easy job, as it were. I liked the job. I didn't have any problem with it, and certain customers made the job miserable, but that's another. But what I would do is whenever I got a chance to train somebody, I'd be like, don't think about it, just do it. You see, you're gonna look at your belt, you're gonna identify all the, you're gonna go, and you're gonna do the math and like that goes with that, that goes with that, that goes with that, and then you're gonna do that. Well, you're gonna finish this transaction. This transaction's finishing up. Okay, boom, you're done. Cash register comes open. Change out to the customer. Close the drawer. Boom, you're on to the next. Hi there, how you doing? You already got this. This order is already pre-bagged. It's pre-bagged. It's already pre-bagged. So all you gotta do is do it. So you just go. How you doing? How's it going? What do you think about the game last night? Hey, maybe oh, you got such a cute little kid there. Oh, you're gonna be driving any day now, right? Oh, and that's Tom Brady. Tom Brady has already beat you. He already knows what he wants to do, and he's gonna go, okay, and I'm gonna come up to the line. I'm gonna check. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna do okay, two high safeties, quarters on the outside. You're running you're running man on man. So you're running man on man. You got quarters on the outside, man on man, and that means that and then he's gonna run. He's gonna call out his snap count because he's trying to find out if somebody's coming. You got a corner blitz. So I got corner blitz off the right side or corner blitz off the left side. So I got to hot route somebody. What are you doing? What are you thinking? What are you and it's all about preparation. Because and then that's what I was telling my cashiers is it's all about preparation, and if you're prepped, if you're set up to go, and you're just set up and you can just run through it, you can grab scan the thing, put it in the bag, and it's grab scan, and your hands are back, right? And that's the same general idea of any sporting competition. Is muscle memory. Does not have to think about it, so your mind can do other things. He doesn't have to think about throwing the ball, because it's not so much that it's not just that it comes naturally. It's because it's fundamental to who he is as a football player, and because it's so important that he's trained and trained and trained and trained and trained and trained, so that he doesn't have to think about it. He doesn't have to think about throwing the ball or making sure that he gets enough torque on it or making sure it comes out of the same arm slot every time, because it's all about, because he's already built that into his mind, because it's his muscle memory. And that's what I tell my cashiers. It's muscle memory. You scan it, you put it in the bag, You scan the next one, you put it in the bag. You scan the next one, put it in the bag. You scan the next one, put it in the bag, and it's just boom. It's done. You don't have to think about it because it's already done. Because your mind is already doing it. Because your body, because it's muscle memory, and it's already done. So when Tom Brady goes back to pass, it doesn't look flashy. When Elway and Marino and Montana, when they went back to pass, it wasn't flashy. They're not out here flicking their shoulders, and dancing around and moving in the pocket. It's because they already know where they're going with the ball when they get the snap. Not that there's a difference between already knowing where you're going with the ball and staring down your receiver. Because if again, if you get too high safety, quarters underneath, quarters on the sides, you got 4 on, 7 underneath, 4 too high, and or you might have 3 down, 3 linebacker, 4 corners, and maybe 1 high safety. Maybe they're playing robber, just so the math works. But you already have an idea of where you want to go with the ball. You're trying to exploit coverages. And that's the thing is like if he's in the meeting room, it's like that. It's click, 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 and he's taking notes and he's listening to criticism and he's been in the league for over 20 years now. This will be when he finishes this season, he'll play his 20th season, and I've been in the league. He'll start as being his 18th starting season, and it'll be the 19th season he's played in. It'll be the 20th, and he's still learning, he's still growing, and that's why you can't beat Tom. Right? 9 times he's been in the Super Bowl. He's lost 3. That's it. 3. He's played in 9 Super Bowls, which is this many, and he's lost 3. That means he's won 6. He's got 6 rings, right? That means he's gone to the championship at least 9 times. Championship game at least 9 times. It's 13. 4 times he's lost that. So he's 9-4. 9-4 in championship games, which means he's at least made the divisional round 14 times. And it's nothing. And the difference between Tom Brady and Dan Marino is that Tom wasn't satisfied with 1. He won his first one, and that would have been a storybook ending to an amazing, 2 years. And they could have gone with Bledsoe, and that could have been it. Tom struggled in 2002. They missed the playoffs. It was the first time that they missed. It's the only time that they missed the playoffs with Tom as their starter. And coming off of an emotional Super Bowl, winning it, the upset of the decade at the time. Probably one of the greatest upsets in sports history. Coming off that, losing into the Tom could have been a one-off, a one-hit wonder. And then, what does he do? He goes out and he wins 2. He wins back-to-back Super Bowls. Boom. Simple enough. Then, he has the 2007 season. They lose to the Giants. We don't need to get into that. Everybody knows that story. And then 2014, they made the playoffs every year. They made some championship games, but they haven't made it back to the Super Bowl. Or they made one more Super Bowl after that. They haven't won one since 2004. Tom Brady's 36, 37. And I know I've spent a lot of time on this, and I didn't have any intentions. That's why the show is the Unscripted. I had no intentions of rambling on about Tom Brady for half an hour. I still got other stuff that I got to get to before the end of the show. I'm going to talk about college football. I'm going to talk about hockey. I'm going to talk about baseball playoffs. So stay with me. I got to run through next week's schedule, which I got to pull up. I got lots of stuff, lots of good stuff on the show. And this is not your bag. Just stay with me. We'll get into other things here in a minute. But, and then you got the Legion of Boom. You got Marshawn Lynch. You got Russell Wilson, who's probably the best quarterback in the league in 2014. Coming off a Super Bowl where they absolutely embarrassed Peyton Manning. Just made him look stupid. Stupid. And that's one thing about Tom Brady is he's never looked stupid in a Super Bowl. His teams have never looked incompetent. Even in the 3 that they've lost. They should have won. They could have won. They should have won that first one. The 2007 one, they should have won that game. The second one, which was 2011, I want to say. They should have won that one. They could have won that one against the second one against the Giants. Um, hurt the dirt. And then the Eagles won. He played an outstanding. He had over 500 yards. He didn't cost them the game. His play. Of course, the one strip sack was at the end of the game. Led to a. And I'm gonna use. We'll come back to that here, because I do need to get to the Packers and Lions, because that whole thing was a debacle, and I need to talk about that game. So let me finish up on time. And then 2014 rolls around, playing Seahawks. Seahawks are probably the best team in the league, and have probably been the best team in the league for 3 years. And they're down. Tom's done everything he can. 3 touchdowns, some 20 odd, 20 for like 25 or some dumb shit like that. And you know, this is why football is a team game, because Tom Brady's done everything he can to win them the game. Everything, everything he can. And a fluky catch by Javon Curse on the outside. It happens again, and you're like, here we go again. Especially if you're a Patriots fan. If you're not a Patriots fan, you're like, hey, there you go, 3-3 in the Super Bowl. Probably not the greatest. Ugh. I mean, he's okay, but he's not the greatest. That's Joe Montana. He's 4-0 Super Bowl, never thrown a pick. And then Malcolm Butler makes the play. The play heard round the world. And a legacy-saving play for Tom Brady. And then Tom makes an excellent play of his own, going out there and getting a false start, an offside call. He gets them to jump and make contact, so that they get an extra 5 yards, and they're able to hand it to I forget who the back was there. Was it? It was Blunt at the time. They were able to give it to Blunt. I think it was Blunt. I forget. Blunt may not have been there for another year or two, but whoever the back was, and they were able to get the ball out of the end zone and move it forward, and so and they were able to avoid a safety, and didn't have to go out and try and play defense, play another series of defensive snaps, and so then moving on to the Packers and Lions. As some of you may know, I'm a bit of a Lions fan, not by choice, but by birth. I'm a Patriots fan by choice, and I don't hate the Packers. I know a lot of Detroit fans hate the Packers, but I didn't grow up hating the Packers. I grew up rooting for Brett Favre, because Brett Favre was awesome when I was growing up. And Thursday or Monday night's game, you know, say what you will about the officiating, and I'm no official defender, but Trey Flowers has got to know that you get flagged for something, you can't go and do it again. You can't get anywhere near doing it again. I don't care if you think it's wrong, the wrong call or not. It doesn't freaking matter. You're not the official. The official is the official. And if you watch the film, his hand, he's got a handful of jersey, and his hand gets up in on the face mask, up and around the face. And it's enough, and at speed, in the moment, it looks like a flag. It looks like illegal hands to the face. And you got to know that they're looking for that now. They flagged you for it once. I don't care if it's the wrong call or not. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. You can't put yourself in the position to make that mistake again. And then the Lions were 24% on third down, 3 for 13 on third down. They had 10 first downs on first down. They couldn't sustain a drive to save their lives all game. They scored 22 points, kicked 5 field goals, including 4 in a row. Now, the reason they lost wasn't the bad penalties or the fumble drop. That was a drop. It was a drop. It was incomplete. The reason they lost is because they didn't do enough to win. They didn't put the Packers away when they. And I said this about the Lions 3, 4, 5 weeks ago. I said it when they were 2-0. I said when they had after the Eagles game. I said calm down. They're not that good. They pissed away an 18-point lead against the Cardinals in less than 6 freaking minutes. They're one of the worst teams in the league. One of the teams, a rebuilding team in Arizona. And they gave away the game. And they ended up in a 27-27 tie and couldn't even get scoregami because they're so inept. Then they beat the and I said this, because the Chargers and the Eagles decided to participate in Christmas in September, they were 2-0-1. And everyone's like, oh, they're undefeated. No, they're not. They may have no losses, but they're not undefeated. They have no losses. They have 0 losses. They're not undefeated. And the reason why I didn't talk about them the reason why I set them aside and I didn't get on them in my breakdown of the power rankings is because I did want to give them a little bit of a benefit of the doubt that, the league admitted that they messed up. But it doesn't matter to me, because the Lions had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to score touchdowns, to score more points, to be a better team, and they couldn't do it. And the same thing happened against Kansas City. When they fell to Kansas City, everybody cried and whined that the officials cost them the game. They cost us the game. They always cost us the game. No, you cost yourself the game. You didn't make plays when you could have, when you should have, when you needed to. Stop blaming the officials. Stop blaming the media. Make the damn play. It's as simple as that. You score 1 touchdown. It's 26-20 at the end of the game. And those two plays are irrelevant because you change the nature of the play. Because you put the pressure squarely on Green Bay's shoulders. Green Bay has no pressure, going into that last drive. Like, all we need is about 40 yards, 45 yards, maybe 50 yards. 50 yards for a comfortable field goal, 45 yards, 40 yards for an uncomfortable field goal. All right, gut check time. Dig deep, go and get those 40 yards. Okay, you get 1 bad penalty. They get a gift. All right, now we got to go out and make 3 more plays, 4 more plays. But if you change the nature of that situation by scoring touchdowns instead of kicking field goals, they left 20 points on the field. They were 1 for 3 in the red zone. I know the Green Bay wasn't much better, but they were better when they needed to be. They scored 2 touchdowns compared to Detroit's 1. They kicked 3 field goals compared to Detroit's 5. But those 5 field goals, 2 of those field goals were wiped out by the 1 Green Bay touchdown. 2 of those field goals were rendered obsolete because Green Bay got a touchdown and an extra point, which made it 20-22. And as far as I'm concerned, the officials had no more, only slightly contributed to the fact that the Lions didn't do enough to win. The Lions, you could sit here and you could say, oh, but nothing. Matthew Stafford had no touchdowns. He didn't have a pick, but he didn't have any touchdowns. He didn't throw a touchdown in the game. They had 1 rushing touchdown in the game. They didn't do enough to win. I mean, come on. Come on, man. You're sitting here telling me, but the referees, nothing. They're part of the game. No, I hear it all the time when a crap call goes against the team. Oh, it's just part of the game. I heard about it when Michigan lost to Ohio State. It's part of the game. When Pittsburgh beat Detroit in the playoffs. Oh, it's part of in the Cup Finals when the officials missed the 2-minute men. Oh, it's part of the game. When Ed Hockley's crew inadvertently blew the whistle on a play that shouldn't have been blown dead. Oh, it's part of the game. It's part of the game. If now we're going to start legislating out part of the game. Something that we should have done 10 years ago. I've been saying it for 10 freaking years, is to get the officials off the field. You have two or three uniformed on-field officials to keep the peace and keep the fist fights from happening, keep settle things down. But we need to go to a video officialing system, in all sports, so that you don't have to worry about, you don't have to rely on Uncle Rico with his 30-40 vision and his double corrective lenses out there guessing at what the rules are. thinking he knows the rules. Because I was under the impression that illegal hands to the face was any contact to the helmet, the neck, or neck, and it's a convoluted rule. Get the convoluted rules out of the rule book. Don't make it forcible contact. What's forcible contact? It's an interpretation call. Is that forcible contact? Is that forcible contact? Is that forcible contact? What's forcible? Does it have to be or is it or is it I mean, and if you have two 300-pound guys pushing each other, what's forcible contact? Get that out of there. Take forcible contact out. Make it a ground rule. Make it any contact to the head or neck area during the play results in a 15-yard. You make it a 10-yard foul. Don't make it a personal foul. Make it a 10-yard foul. And just like holding or any of the other non-personal foul penalties. Just and then if you want to escalate it to unsports, then it's easy enough to just escalate to unsportsmanlike contact. If somebody backhands somebody upside the head, then you just flag them for personal foul, unsportsmanlike contact, number 97, defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down. And then you take all the convolutedness and you get people playing in the game inside the rules that you want to set, because we want to set a rules that protects the players while also making the game fun to play and fun to watch. And I'm sorry, but if you get your hands up here, and I'm only 5'6", so obviously, for me reaching up here is gonna probably for somebody who's 6'6", my head is at their chest, at least, at the most. My head's at their chest. Their eye level is here, and I'm off screen. See, up here, right there. My eye level is here. Their eye level is here, and so for them, pretty much pushing me could be illegal contact to the head, and so getting that out of the game, cleaning that rule up so it's not a gray area where any contact to the head, and any contact, any foul, anything in the head or neck area, it's gonna be flagged. It's just the way it is, and make it a foul. Like I say this all the time whenever I'm talking about it. The reason it should be flagged all the time against everyone is because it's your responsibility to maintain control over your body, and so you have to maintain control over your stick. And I know hockey, football, completely different sports, but the principle is the same. You have to maintain control over your stick at all times. Doesn't matter whether it doesn't matter if your stick is this is the guy's head. And this is the guy's if you put your stick here on his shoulder, below his shoulder, but the blade of your stick is here and it clips him in the side of the head, you're getting a high sticking foul, even though your stick was technically below his shoulder. The blade came up and caught him on the face. So even though technically your hand is here on his collar, it gets up into his face, and therefore you're gonna get a penalty. And under the current rules, it shouldn't have been a penalty, but under a modified version of the rule, it takes out the forcible contact part, because that's a judgment call and it leaves up to interpretation. If you take that out, then any contact to the head is an automatic 10-yard penalty. Perfect. I think that's a more tenable solution. I have the scores here. Yeah, whatever. All right, close that. I'm going to let the scores load. See if I have a writing implement. I do. You know what? I'm going to have to cut this short. I will be back in about 15 or 20 minutes to finish up the stream. We are back live. Sorry about that. And duty calls. So, we're just going to finish up here. I got a few things to go over. Before we get... So, now that that's done, and I've run myself out on the we're gonna look ahead to the week 7 in the NFL, and we're gonna go ahead and do this this way so I can keep track of it. Put a box there, and a blue pen. Close. Come on. There we go. Okay, so we already know, and I took the Chiefs last week, so I got that one right. We got one winner already. Chiefs or Broncos. So we got one win already. So we're just gonna go across the thing. These are all your 1 o'clock. So the rest of these are your 1 o'clock games. You got Raiders, the Oakland Raiders at the Green Bay Packers. The Pack attack is back, Jack. You know what? This is a really interesting game, a really interesting matchup. I think it'll be really interesting to see what happens in this game. This is a game that I think can really put both teams, will really solidify both teams. If Oakland wants to continue to improve and wants to impress, I'm gonna take Green Bay, but I think it's gonna be close. I think it's gonna be Green Bay 34, Oakland 17. Maybe not as close as that. Rams and Falcons at home for the Falcons. It's gonna be a Falcons game. I am gonna go. I'm gonna go Rams. I'm gonna go Rams 30-13 over the Falcons. I really think that's gonna be a big comeback game for the Rams. I think they get off the schneid, get back to their winning ways. Then I have the Niners, and then we have the Niners and Skins at Reds in Washington. Looks like, I think last I heard was that Keenum was back in, I think, as the starter. So we'll see. Really getting tired of these ads. And then, so, I'm going to take the Niners. I'm going to say 24 to 6. 24 to 6 over the Skins. Then you got Texans Colts. This is a big game. I know I said that a lot about these mid-season matchups, but in that's going to be in Indy. That's a tough one. Texans Colts in Indy. So it's dome, so no weather. Don't have to worry about that. For up or down, I think it's a toss-up. I'm gonna go Texans, and I'm gonna say 31-27 Texans. It's gonna be close. I like both teams. And this is a week where we can separate ourselves from the teams can separate themselves from the pack. And then we have the Lions we have Lions and Vikings, so that's another 1 o'clock kick. Lions, Vikings in Detroit. Both teams coming off close games. One incredibly disappointing loss. Oh, actually, I take that back. The Vikings Vikings wasn't close. Sorry about that. I forgot. God, this is gonna be a tough matchup. My gut tells me to go with the Lions, but my head says go Vikings. I'm gonna take Minnesota 13 down over Detroit in Detroit. because I think it's going to be low scoring. I think it's going to be close. I don't think Kirk Cousins has as good of a game as he did last week. So, but we'll see. Jaguars and Bengals is our next game, and that one is an easy one for me. And I'm going Jaguars. This is one that I'm really not even going to debate. I'm going to say Jaguars 27, Bengals 3. Then you have Giants and Cardinals. Ooh, this could be a good one. Two teams that are both trying to save their seasons. I think that right now, as it stands, the Cardinals are in a better spot to do that. It's in New York. It's a 1:00 kick. Could be a weather game. So I am gonna go marginally Cardinals 19, Giants 14. Dolphins Bills. Ooh, that's an interesting matchup. You know, it's another one of those ones where you have a team that should win that doesn't. But I'm not that bold. I'm not going to take the Dolphins. I'm going to take the Bills. I'm going to go Bills 13 to 9. Chargers and Titans. And this is your first 4:00 matchup. I have the Chargers and Titans in Tennessee here, where I'm at. Not that I'm really a Chargers fan. And, or Titans fan either. I'm not a fan of either one of these teams. They're both what they are. They both are what they are. Um, so, uh, oh, God, I like neither team. 17-10 Chargers. Chargers 17, Titans 10. Ravens Seahawks, best matchup of the week, and I'm not going to get to see it. I might get to see this game. Yeah, I should get. Actually, I should get to see this. Nope. Well, maybe. That could be a good one too. Probably the best matchup of the day, in my opinion. A game that I'm really excited to see, that will really separate the teams. Is this game? I'm going Hawks 33, Ravens 26. Hawks score more points. I think the Hawks offense scores more points. And then we got the Titans, the Saints, and the Saints. When the Saints go marching in, oh Lord, I wanna be in that number. When the Saints go marching in. Saints and Bears. Saints and Bears in Chicago. It's gonna be windy in Chi-Town. I really think the Saints have a better running attack than the Bears right now. Oh, hoodala. I'm gonna go Saints. I'm gonna go Saints 25, Bears 16. You got two more games left. You got Eagles and Cowboys. Both teams need a bounce back game. I think both teams are really, really desperate at this point. I don't think either team has done anything in to bolster the rosters. Neither team has made a trade or tried to go find a piece to make their teams better. I'm gonna go Eagles. I'm gonna go Eagles 24, Cowboys 14. Eagles pull away late. And then in the Monday night matchup, you got the New England Patriots against the San Francisco, the London Silly Nannies. I mean the Jets. In the Meadowlands. So, Patriots 34, Jets 10. I think that was a fluky game, and that it's not really gonna be. You're not really gonna see a lot of I think that the Jets are not as good. The Jets, it wasn't really the Jets were better. It's that um, the Broncos are, or the Cowboys are worse. So that's what I got there. I'm gonna go look at the college scoreboard. We're gonna talk a little bit about college here before we get out of here, and we're probably not gonna get to much of anything else, because it's just how this show kind of just kind of broke down. NCAA scoreboard. We had a couple of games. We've already had a couple of games this week. Oh, we got. Ooh, that should be a good one. That's one to definitely watch. All right. So we had a couple of games earlier this week. So I'm picking. Let me go ahead and set up. Last week I think I had Troy, and I think I had the Raging Cajuns, and I'm pretty sure I had UCLA. So, but I didn't really look. So, whatever. Not really worried about that. The ones that I wanted to make sure I got right. So, but I'm gonna go ahead and go through this. We're gonna get some college predictions going. And we're gonna go ahead and run through that. It should be fun. Marshall at Florida Atlantic. And we're gonna talk about college football. There's a little bit of college football here. Um, Definitely want to get into some of the big time matchups. Um, Marshall, Florida Atlantic. Marshall 48, Florida Atlantic 10. Blah game. Bad game. Terrible teams. Thunder hurt all the way. Pitt at Syracuse. You get the Orange Men versus the Panthers. And yes, I said Orange Men. Come at me, bro. Um, Pitt at Syracuse. I like Syracuse 36 to 29. Why, I don't know. Because they're both. Because reasons. Because why not? It's college football. You never know what could happen. Then the late game in a big game on Ohio State Friday night. Ohio State seems to play a lot on Friday night. You got Ohio State at Northwestern. Um, could be Northwestern knocked off Ohio State, 2 years ago now, I believe it was, at home, if I'm not mistaken. I don't see that happening. I'm going Ohio State 59, Northwestern 10. In a game that could be fun if you're an Ohio State fan. Let's argue. Purdue and Iowa. Purdue and Iowa in Iowa. Um, I'm going to take Purdue as an upset over the Iowa Hawkeyes, even though it's in Iowa. I'm going to go Purdue 33, Iowa 31. Then you got Auburn and Arkansas. Arkansas. Somebody was homesick, weren't they? You have should be a big time matchup. Auburn needs a bounce back game. Continue to keep their season on the right track. So I'm gonna go Auburn. I'm gonna say Auburn 44, Arkansas 17. Wisconsin should win this one going away. I'm not sure who else Wisconsin has next week. Illinois, Wisconsin. Mark it down. Wisconsin 42, Illinois nothing. The first shutout of the week goes to Wisconsin. I got Clemson next. Clemson at Louisville again. It should be Clemson in a laugher. Louisville is really not very good and hasn't been good in a couple of years. So Clemson 37, Louisville 13. Then you have Florida at South Carolina. I expect this to be a huge letdown game for Carolina after beating number 3 in the country, Georgia. I expect South Carolina to lose this one going away. I'm going to say 34-14. Carolina goes out and scores a couple quick touchdowns, but the game ends up in what really ends in a rout. The next slate, that should be a good one. The next set of games and the last early kick is West Virginia at Oklahoma. I like what Oklahoma's doing, as much as it pains me to say. Uh, I wanna take an upset here. I really do. I really do. I'm gonna say Oklahoma. I'm gonna say West Virginia 24, Oklahoma 21. I think that's the upset of the week. We had one last week. You almost always have a big upset somewhere along in there. I'm going West Virginia over Oklahoma. Oklahoma keeps it close. West Virginia keeps it close and finishes it out late. It's 17-21, final drive. So West Virginia goes and scores a touchdown, wins the game. LSU wins in a laugher over Mississippi State. 39-10. Then you have LA Monroe, LAM, which I probably won't remember what that stands for next week, but whatever, versus App State. Oh, yeah, 10, App State wins, going away, 35-10. Then Minnesota was actually number 20 in the country. How about that? Look at you go, Golden Gophers over Rutgers. What did I say? That didn't happen. Minnesota 25, Rutgers 12. It seems like a random enough score to happen, right? The Temple Owls, who were ranked last week but are apparently not ranked now. Yeah. After they beat Memphis, moved up to 25, they lose and slip out and against SMU. Same difference. Temple pulls a little bit of an upset, and they win 26-16. Oregon has to go up to Washington to take on the whatever they are, the Fighting Washingtons, Huskies. Oregon in Washington loses. They're gonna lose. They will lose to the Huskies, and they will lose 17-27. Why? Because I said so. Damn it. And I don't know why it's not letting me do that. Okay, in the next game you have Tulsa versus Cincinnati. In Cincinnati. And these start your late kickoffs, or your later kickoffs, which are all your later kickoffs. You start with the LSU game, and then you have this is your last 3 o'clock or 3:30 kick, and that should be a good one. I gotta go Tulsa. Tulsa 21, Cincinnati 13. Then you have Baylor and Oklahoma State. The Baylor Bears have to travel to Oklahoma State, which I forget what that's called. I used to know, but I don't remember on the top of my head. Okay, State. Okay, State. Baylor kind of stumbles this week, and they lose 23-27. I don't know why it's not letting me scroll. And then your last 3:30. Oh wait, okay, so that was your first 4 o'clock kick. Your next kick, and then your next kick and your last 4 o'clock kick is MSSOURI Missouri versus Vandy. So Vanderbilt stinks. Stooges and sellouts. But they don't pull out an upset. No, Missouri wins 37-13. Even though it's in Vandy, it just doesn't happen. So then we have your next. You have your Arizona State at Utah, and that is a 6 o'clock kicks. These are the next two games are your 6 o'clock kicks. You have Arizona and Utah. I'm gonna say Arizona State pulls an upset. I'm gonna say a smidgen of an upset. I'm gonna say 25-14. I think that's my second 25-14 game. I also have I had quite a few upsets this week, and I see this being a letdown week. I see this being a huge opportunity for Kentucky to sneak in and steal a game between the hedges. It probably won't happen, but I do like Kentucky's chances. However, I am not taking Kentucky because I'm not that stupid. I just say watch out. Kentucky will score some points, 27-40. Georgia wins. That's your second and only kickoff. Your 7 o'clock kickoff is Kansas City, or Kansas, I should say. Yeah, I think they're playing Kansas City, and that's Texas. And I'm going Texas. I'm going to say 41-15. Texas should land in the laugher, get another laugher. Then the big one. Good God, I don't like this matchup. The stupid asses that made it a freaking night game in Pennsylvania. I hate night games. We're not very good at night games. You know what? My gut is with my team. 24-21 Michigan. That's it. I'm taking the Wolverines, and I'll eat crow on Monday. Tennessee at Bama. You got tied number 1 again. Can't wait till they stink again. But that's a 9 o'clock kick tomorrow. Late kick. Late kick. And you got a handful of 10 o'clock kicks. But I'm going to take Alabama. I'm going to go Alabama 44, Tennessee nothing. And our second shout-out of the day, and our second shout-out of the week, that's what you got. And you got Boise State and BYU. No upsets there. Boise State should roll. Even though we looked it up and Boise State is not a state, we're gonna stick on the bandwagon with the Boise State whatever they are, because I don't remember. 29-11 in a funny game. BYU gets a safety. Mark it down. And these are your two 10-15 kicks, and you got one more kick after that. Oh, and then okay, cool. I only have one game. We only have one game on the midweek next week. Makes me kind of happy. So then, because this, and we'll get to that game, because this show doesn't. That game will be played before this show. So Nevada and Utah State. I'm gonna go Wolfpack. 25-16, and then Air Force 1 over Hawaii. Hawaii. Air Force 28, Hawaii 14, in a very traditional final. And that's your last game of week 9. So the first game of week 8, your first game of week 9 is going to be the only one we're going to talk about this week, because this show will be SMU on the road to face Houston is going to be a fun one. I'm going to say 34-31 Houston. I just think it's going to be, those games almost always have a tendency to be high scoring. Looks like Michigan is off next week for some reason. I don't see him. Ooh, that's going to be a big one. Yeah, looks like Michigan is on the bye yet again. I don't know who scheduled 2 byes this year. Oh, no. Oh, that's right. It's the Notre Dame game. Another frickin' late kick. God damn it. But that's just kind of looking ahead. Don't look too far ahead. Got to get through Penn State. Got to get through this week. Should be fun. Should be a good one. Should be a fun week. A lot of big games this week. A lot of big mid-season matchups. Finally having some pretty tough games. You know what? I don't want to. So we're gonna look. Ooh, SC come back to make that a game. I did not realize that. Did I take Utah? Oh no, I took Utah to. Yeah, I took Arizona State to upset Utah. I still think I'm gonna stick with that, even though they kind of thumped them. Did I have Washington winning? I think I did. Just looking back at last week, a little bit before I close this stream down. I'm not gonna. Well, I do want to talk about the baseball playoffs before we get out of here tonight. I'm not gonna talk hockey or basketball this week. This show ended up getting eaten up by the NFL. Just kind of scrolling back through to look at the. Yeah, I thought I thought Michigan State was gonna give Washington a better game. Alabama was gonna. A&M was gonna give Alabama a better game. But it is what it is. So it's just fun. Cool. All right, so I did want to talk about the baseball playoffs before I get out of here today. And I know this stream has run even longer than I had scheduled it for. It's about 15 minutes over. It should be about. So we're gonna talk really quick about the baseball playoffs because I did want to talk about those things. That thing that happens in the baseball world at this time of year. I think that Houston closes it out, and we have Houston and Houston and Washington in the finals. That's game one. I think game one should be Monday. I think Monday or Sunday. Um, and I like Houston. Verlander over Scherzer. I like Houston again. Well, I thought both of these series were going to be much longer games, much longer series, but obviously they weren't. So I think I think so. I like the Astros in a 7 game series. I thought that New York was gonna give Washington Houston more of a battle. I thought their offense was at least halfway decent to give Houston a battle. So, but what can you do? What can you say? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. As the existentialism sets in, I think I'm gonna go ahead and call this stream here. I know there's like 15 minutes of dead air that I'm gonna have to try and figure out how to cut out. So I do apologize for stopping the stream, but I think it's time. I do apologize for the dead air. Nature called, so business had to be taken care of. I hope y'all Thank you. I want to before I go, I want to shout out our law enforcement, military, firefighters, everyone that puts on a uniform to defend our freedoms or protect us in any way, shape, or form. I want to thank you all for your service. And then last and not least is I want to thank the doctors and nurses that put us back together after we play these dumb games. Thank you all for everything that y'all do, and Godspeed. That wraps up the Unscripted for weeks, series 1, week 2. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you can reach out to me on Facebook or via Skype. The relevant links may have end up in the description at some point. Eventually, I do plan on taking a screenshot and sharing my power rankings. And I have some thoughts on how to rework my power rankings. And I'm gonna work on those here in a minute. Other than that, and I'm gonna next week. One thing before I go that I did want to talk about that I forgot that I was gonna mention. Next week, as part of the show, I'll be premiering the first ever unscripted quarterback power rankings, ranking every team's starting quarterbacks, minimum 1 start. You'll get 1 point for a start. You'll get 1 point for a win. You'll get 1 point for each completion. You'll get docked 1 point for each incompletion. You'll receive a tenth of a point for you get 10% of a point for every 1 yard gained. You'll receive 1 point for each 10, and this is ranked based on your yearly production. So you get 1 point for every 10 touchdowns, 1 point for every for every 20, for every 10, 1 point per touchdown. So 10 touchdown, 1 through 10 gets you 1 point, 11 through 20 gets you 2 points, and 21 through 30 gets you 3 points. You score 40 or more, you get 4 points. 50 or more, you get so on and so forth. If somebody were to score 6 touchdowns, they get 6 points for their adjusted scores. And same thing with interceptions. Interceptions nets you -1 point for your first 10, 2 points for your second 10, 3 points for your third 10. And if you can somehow manage to throw 40 interceptions and stay in the game, you'll end up with -4 points. From there, fumbles are worth -2 points. Defensive scores of pick sixes and fumble recoveries for touchdowns count for -2 points each. So if you have two fumbles and you have two that both result in a scoop and score, that will be -4 points. And I'll be debuting that next week, along with a revamped and reworked power rankings that will actually probably premiere later today at some point. Even though it's already getting late in the day and it's only 3:30. Oh wait, so we will see you next week here on the big show. I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed the show as much as I enjoy putting it on. If you reach out to me on Facebook, any comments, concerns, or questions, you can find me on Facebook at Adam Mangold. I'm in various groups on there, both professional and college groups. So if you see me in there, hit me up, say hi, see how it's going, and happy to talk sports anytime. Thank you for watching. Y'all.